Strat-O-Matic Excel Carryover League. Brought to you by the Shrimp Troller. 1972 to 1975.
Game 407, Royals at Brewers.
Welcome back, baseball fans. 1972-75 Carryover League. We have a series today in the American League Midwest between the Kansas City Royals and the Milwaukee Brewers. Let's just catch you right up what's happened. This is a best of 7. Royals in first place. Coming into this, Game 1, we open up in Kansas City. It's Mike Torres against Larry Gurr, battle number 4 starters. A pretty well pitched game. Bottom of the top of the third, give Robin Yount, the kid, a solo homer. Had 3 of those with his rookie card against a lefty, where he has power. Bottom of the inning, Dwyer singles, Heidemann doubles. A couple of free agents the Royals signed. Been very productive players, actually. Sac fly, Brett. RBI single, Otis. Otis gets caught stealing twice in this game. Doesn't really affect it that much. 2-1 Royals. Bottom of the 5th, a single by Healy, a single by Cowens, sac fly Rojas, 3-1, and some really good pitching in this one, and in the bullpen too. It's a 3-1 final for Kansas City. Gurr went 6 2/3, 2 hits and a run, and that was all the Brewers could muster throughout the day. That's it, because the bullpen gave up 3 walks and 3 strikeouts, no more hits. Torres, a hard luck loser, 7 innings, 9 hits, 3 runs. And Stevenson and Sanders pitched the 8th. 3-1 win for the Royals, who've done it a bunch of different ways this year. Today they did it with pitching, with their number 4 starter, believe it or not. So what happens in Game 2? Is there any hope for Milwaukee? It's not good. It's not a good timeline for them, as we know. But in Game 2, they have their ace, Jim Colburn, against Marty Patton. And this turns out very well for Milwaukee. The Royals, George Brett in the leadoff spot. He triples, scores on the ground ball. 1-0 early. Stays away till the 5th. Kurt Bavacco gets a triple, scores on a Robin Yount sac fly. We're tied at 1. Then it all comes unglued for Marty Patton and reliever Joe Horner in the 6th and 7th innings, where the Brewers string together a bunch of singles. And there's an error tossed in there by Mayberry. There's a 3-run homer by Ollie Brown in there. And a very rare offensive uprising by the Milwaukee Brewers, finally overwhelming Kansas City in this one. Royals do get runs in the 7th and 8th inning, but not nearly enough. This is a 9-4 final for the Milwaukee Brewers, who, well, they claim home field advantage by getting a split in Kansas City, but what can they do with it is the question. And the answer is they can present Christmas gifts to their division rivals, Kansas City Royals. Merry Christmas, Kansas City, from your buddies in Wisconsin, the Milwaukee Brewers, who gift wrap a Game 3 win to the Royals. The final score in this one is 9-6, Kansas City. Splittorff, we'll go through this, but Splittorff, 7 innings, 9 hits, 6 runs, 4 earned. Reliever Horatio Pino gets a win, and Doug Bird gets a save. Jim Slayton went 7 innings, giving up a stunning 14 hits and 6 runs. Earl Stevenson gave up 3 hits, all in the 9th inning. We'll take you through this, though. In the 4th inning, fly ball to center fielder Steve Hovley. He plays it into a single. Amos Otis hits a fly ball to Steve Hovley. Plays it into a single. And then eventually you get a double walk and a homer by Ed Kirkpatrick. 6-6 game of the 9th. Earl Stevenson gets a ground out on his card, a ground out on the hitter's card. Then Amos Otis hits a ground ball to Robin Yount for an error. John Mayberry hits a ground ball to Robin Yount for a single. Lou Piniella hits a ground ball to Robin Yount for a single. Then you have a walk, then you have a single, and a strikeout. Merry Christmas, Milwaukee Brewers. have no business in winning a game like this as they struggle. So you're going to see, the Robin Yount really struggle a lot at the beginning of his career. It'll be some years before he catches up to George Brett in their, Hall of Fame matchups throughout their careers. Game 4, and now we're getting to the state of real mismatch. Roger Nelson for Kansas City. Gary Ryerson. Whoever Gary is, he's pitching today, and he makes it through 5 innings. Kansas City has 17 hits in Game 3. They have 16 hits in Game 4. Roger Nelson's a starter 9 with a 2.08 ERA, and we've seen him a lot on YouTube. Won't be seeing him today. He did enough to get the victory. 9 innings, 6 hits, a couple solo home runs, a run-scoring double play ball. It doesn't really matter. He's pitching for Milwaukee. They get 8 hits off of Ryerson in 5 innings, a couple hits off of Ken Sanders in 2 innings, 4 hits and 3 runs off the closer Doug McMahon with 3 straight doubles in the 9th, all off the hitter's cards. Kansas City Royals are in a world of their own, just dominating this year, living up to expectations. What happens if you have a really talented team and they overachieve? Look out, folks. So the last 2 years, the Royals have stunk up the joint, and that is over. They are in Juggernaut City presently. Let's take a look at the standings where we play a Game 5. American League Midwest. The Royals now have opened up a 3-game lead on the White Sox, who still have to play the Twins. So it's looking like, unless the Brewers make a miraculous comeback, the Royals will be in first place at the All-Star break. The White Sox will have to attempt to make a comeback for the division crown in the postseason tournament. That's what it's looking like. If they can, because they still have to deal with the Twins. But right now, Kansas City at 18-10, playing .643 baseball, chasing Oakland for the best top seed in the league. Remember, Oakland lost an interleague battle with the Braves, the only series they've lost all year. And aside from those 2 1-loss records, there's nothing really spectacular in the American League. Boston playing .600 ball. We like the White Sox roster, but they've just played such a tough schedule, and they played .542 ball. There's the Tigers over there. But anyway, let's get to Game 5 here in lovely Wisconsin. This is a matchup that the Brewers won last time. It's a rematch of Game 2. Both pitchers on short rest. Marty Patton. Marty for the Royals, 17-game winner, actually with Boston in 72. Marty moved all over the place. I think he was with Seattle Pilot, a Milwaukee Brewer, a Boston Red Sox, a Kansas City Royal, in starting and relieving. Nice little year for Marty Patton. And Jim Colburn, even better year for his Brewers in 73. He won 20 games, which is pretty remarkable to consider, with a .318 ERA and 314 innings. So at least they supported Jim Colburn in that season on a really bad Milwaukee team. Oops. So Game 5 from County Stadium in Milwaukee. We'll fire this up here. Marty Patton versus Jim Colburn in the timeline. Leading off, it'll be Cookie Rojas today. Royals often juggle the leadoff spot between Brett, Patek, and Rojas. And George Brett's batted first, second, and third throughout the year. Having some fun with that. Rojas fouls to the catcher. Here is George Brett. 1-6, triple 1-17, and he gets it. He is having an all-star year, as you can imagine. Runner at third for Amos Otis, 57, is a strikeout. And with 2 outs, it's Big Bad John Mayberry. 57 for a lefty is a fly ball to right. So Brett is stranded at third. It is Pat Kelly leading off for the Brewers. 64. That's a strikeout. Steve Hovley, 38, is a base hit. George Scott, 2-8, is a strikeout. And with 2 outs, it's Johnny Briggs. 110 is a fly ball to right field. Top of the second, Lou Piniella. 39 for Lou, fly ball to left. Ed Kirkpatrick, 1-9, is a walk. Fran Healy, 2-6, fielder's choice. And with 2 outs, Jim Washer Dwyer, 44, off the Colburn card. Big swing, homer, 1-7, double the rest. And Jim Dwyer, a guy never really associated with Kansas City, free agent acquisition has been invaluable. 2-run blast. Sometimes, folks, in this carryover league, because you're signing players from away from other squads, you get fortunate results. Jim Dwyer, Jack Heidemann, Horatio Pena have all been big contributors to this Kansas City team this year. 2-0. Fred Patek, 111, triple 105, base hit. With 2 outs, let's try a stolen base. On a 13 against the Porter arm, he will be out stealing by a whisker. Bottom of 2. Darrell Porter steps into the box, 46, base hit off Patton. Ollie Brown, 49, is a walk. 2 on for Robin Yount. 55 off the Patton card, triple 1-2. It's a base hit, and the Brewers get a run and have it going on here in the second, folks. 2-1 affair, runners on the corners, nobody out. Popovich, they'll play it back early in this game. 4-10, third X. This is why you're going to probably get a double play off the 1 third baseman or the air. That's the only options. It's a 5-4-3 double play. The runner will score. The bases are empty. It's a 2-2 game. Kurt Bavacqua, base hit off Patton. Pat Kelly, 58, second X. This is Rojas at 2E15. Makes the play. Well, the Brewers have sent one more batter to the plate in 2 innings in a 2-2 affair. You can give them that. And it'll be Cookie Rojas. He was in the box when Patek got caught stealing. 6-10, center X. Now this is the problem area. Hovley's a 3E7. That's not really a problem area. Though in this series, he did cost his team a game, but he makes the catch there. George Brett, 67, pops out. And Amos Otis, 57, a K. A nice inning there for Jim Colburn. Bottom of the 3rd. Steve Hovley, who actually was a former Kansas City Royal. 47 off Patton is a base hit. Patton, disadvantaged against lefties. So Milwaukee has all of them in there, which is a total of 5 today. George Scott, 2-6, single 1-10, and he gets it. 2 on for John Briggs. 4-12, skies to right. 2 on for Darrell Porter. 54 off the Patton card, homer on a 19, and it is gone. Darrell Porter. We've frankly seen more pitching failure than offensive success, as the Dwyer homer was off of the pitcher's card, as is the Porter. It is, though, 5-2 Brewers early. Ollie Brown, 1 out, 1-8, base hit. Robin Yount, 4-10, lines are short, and with 2 outs, Popovich, 4-10, third X, Brett the 1E25. Have to get the error, or that's an out. So we do understand, particularly Marty Patton in 2 starts has not looked very good. The bullpen of Kansas City is not very good either. It's pretty bad, actually, except for Doug Bird and Pena. Splittorff and Gurr are just mediocre lefty starters. It's not like this Royal team doesn't have weaknesses. They have plenty of them. But they can be hidden. It's only a crime if you get caught, right, folks? You can get away with stuff, and the Royals have been getting away with it this year, masking their flaws, playing great baseball. But they're down 3 going into the 4th, and it's John Mayberry. 46, double 1-8 off Colburn is a 2-base hit. Lou Piniella, 4-12, flies to left. Ed Kirkpatrick, 66, pops to first. And Fran Healy, 2-8. Well, let's take a look at a card. Haven't seen one all day. Fran Healy arrives in Kansas City anonymously from San Francisco. Didn't really make a ripple. But in 73, old Fran has half a season of great baseball with a stick, a .276 average, 6 homers, -1 arm catcher. Arguably his best season ever. And 2-8, double and an 8 is an RBI single in a 5-3 game. And here's Jim Washer Dwyer, homered earlier. 3-6 is a walk. And here's Patek. 66 is a sky to right. The Royals battling back. Been doing it all year. 5-3. It's Kurt Bavacqua. 68 flies to left. The Reverend Pat Kelly, 38, rolls to first. And Steve Hovley, 4-7, base hit. George Scott had a great early start in March and April, charging out on the MVP voting. Then he went to a horrific slump, and so much for that. George Scott here, 2-7 to strikeout. Into the 5th. It'll be back up top to Cookie Rojas, 2-10, pitcher. Brett, 1 for 2 today with a triple, 46. Make it 2 for 3. Double 1 to 8, a double. They're hitting the pitcher's cards today, folks, pretty regularly. And now your tie run is Amos Otis. 58, flies to left. And with 2 outs, it's Mayberry. 6-10, center X. And here's Hovley again. He gave away game 3 earlier. A 3-7 in center field, but he makes the catch. So Hovley redeems himself today with a couple of nice defensive plays, keeping his Brewers in the game with a 5-3 lead. Bottom of the 5th. Let's pause a moment for station identification.
This is the Shrimp Trawler video channel.
Este es el canal de videos de camaroneros.
Okay, the Brewers want to hold on and win this game so that they can say not on our field and force this series back to Kansas City. Bottom of the 5th, it's Johnny Briggs. 37, single 1 to 12, lines out. Daryl Porter, 110, double 1 to 17, gets it. Ollie Brown has reached twice. 56, make it 3 times. It's a base hit in the center field. The catcher Porter can run. He's a 12. But that was hit towards Amos Otis with a -4 arm, so he'll jam the brakes at third. You know, most teams would start to consider yanking your starter when he's put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 men on base, even though he's your number 2 starter and a starter 8. But the reality is in Kansas City, this bullpen stinks. You got Gogolewski with a 4.22 ERA. Joe Horners is like 5. Bird is exclusively a closer because somebody has to. Pena is great against righties, weak against lefties. And they're just not a team that can selectively switch things around as far as the pitching goes. Doesn't bode well in the long term for Kansas City, but we've seen enough of this to see teams ride the wave and hide their flaws. Runners in the corners, they're going to bring it up for the youngster, Robin Yount. Here's the pitch. 58 is second X with the infield up. This is Rojas, a 2-15 second baseman. Makes the play. The runner at third holds up there. The runner from first goes to second. Second and third, 2 outs, and the switch hitter, Paul Popovich. 1-7, lines to third, and it stays 5-3. Into the 6th, it's Lou Piniella. 2-9, lines to third. Ed Kirkpatrick, 2-7, strikes out. Fran Healy, 47, is a base hit. Jim Washer Dwyer trying to reach for the 3rd straight time. He will. 4-6, double 1 to 8. 3rd time rolled in the game. A double and 2 singles off of it. Runners in the corners, 2 outs for Fred Patek. 35, ball 4. Bases loaded, 2 outs. We'll take a look at Cookie Rojas. Leading off would bat first, bat second, bat 8th, bat 9th. Great range still as a 2-15 second baseman. One of his best batting averages in his Kansas City tenure, 276. 29 doubles. Fantastic bat handler, as you can imagine. Has power against lefties, which is very unique. But he's up with the bases loaded with 2 outs. Big moment for the Royals. Here's the pitch. 1-5 for Rojas. You got your dreaded bases loaded walk. And it's only George Brett. So what are we doing here, folks? We got the Brewers' best pitcher, the only guy who's won a game in this series, A susceptible bullpen, and George Brett. And the reality of the situation, folks, is that it's George Brett, and it doesn't really make a difference. Not to mention, Colburn's a little bit better against lefties. So here they will battle. Brett with the bases loaded and 2 outs in a 5-4 game. He's already doubled and tripled today. Here's the pitch to George Brett. 67 off Colburn is a pop to second base. So it is 5-4. Nice wiggling out of that mess. Bottom of the 6th, it'll be Kurt Bavacqua. 69, Sky's the center. Back up top to the Reverend Pat Kelly. 6-10, catcher's X. This is Fran Healy, a 3-9. And with 2 outs, Steve Hovley. 39 for Steve is a walk. And now you have George Scott. We talked about him, but we didn't look at the card. Let's take a look at the George Scott card. We'll just call him the best player on the Brewers in this timeline and just leave it at that. I mean, he's your 1 first baseman, 670 plate appearances, 24 bombs, a 306 average. He won't stretch it all the way to that 79 or 82 Milwaukee squad that did so well. Harvey's Wallbangers, and, when they have Lizcano and Gorman Thomas and Cecil Cooper and all that, Ben Ogilvy and all that. But George Scott goes from Boston to Milwaukee, then he back to Boston, and he's traded for Cecil Cooper and all sorts of strangeness. But what a great career for George Scott. Big moment here, trying to give his team some insurance. Runner at first, 2 outs. The pitch to George Scott. 1-9, comes through with a single to right field. Hovley's a good base runner, 14, 15, 16. Dwyer with a +1 hole, running to third on a 17. He makes it on a, up here, that roll, 6, not that roll. So they're on the corners, and the batter will be Johnny Briggs. Let's take a look at Johnny. Nice years with Philadelphia and Milwaukee. Had this knack for power and walks. Couldn't field worth anything. Couldn't catch a can of corn. 246, 18 homers in 1973 for the Brewers. Big moment here. Needing some insurance. Here's the pitch to Johnny Briggs. 48 off of Patton. It's single. 1-7. Line out the rest. He cannot get it. He rolls the 9. Lines out. And the Brewers stay alive in this one, trailing just 5-4 in the 7th. It'll be Amos Otis leading off for Kansas City. 38 rolls a short. Big bad John Mayberry. 1-9's a strikeout. And with 2 outs, it'll be Lou Piniella. 111 rolls to second base. A 3-up and 3-down 7th inning delights the home crowd. Stretch time here in Milwaukee. The good folks of Wisconsin wanting to get some success out of their young squad. Hanging out. Keep an eye on the sky. Compilation by Big Star. 5 hours of remastered stuff. This was from the 70s show, right? Theme song they used. Yeah. Let's Go Wisconsin and all that wonderful stuff. Bottom of the 7th. Marty Patton is still out there chasing a comeback victory. He's only put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 men on base. Yeah, he's in rare form. It'll be Darryl Porter leading off in the bottom of the 7th. 69, Sky's the center. Ollie Brown, 1-8 is a base hit. And the rookie, Robin Yount, 59, short X. Patek Philippe is a 2E27. It is a single dot off his range of 2. Big break for the Brewers. Now you got a switch hitter Popovich or righty Bavacqua. Lefties Kelly and Hovley. And this is what we're talking about, folks. This is where most teams would yank Patton for really having a stinker of a game. But who are you going to bring in? Well, in the spirit of the game, and because you've got some lefties coming up, hey, let's just do it. We're going to pull Patton, as he's really been bad today, putting multiple men on in most innings. And we'll go to the lefty, and you'll take a look at him, folks. It's Joe Horner. Joe Horner was the Philly closer a year ago with a sub-2 ERA. Times have changed for Joe. This was all Kansas City could find on the waiver list as Joe falls to 1-5 with a 4.40 ERA in 45 innings in 1972, as Kansas City is some of the weakest left-handed pitching in this sport, joining Larry Gurr and Splittorff. So Horner comes on in the 7th. And it was that a single dot for you, or was it just a single? Oh, it was it was off the X, that's right. So first and second. And it's Popovich, who certainly is not the type of hitter to scare most teams. He'll swing away. Here's the pitch to Paul Popovich. 6-12 off of Horner is a roller to first. Second and third, 2 outs, and it's Kurt Bavacqua. 55, rolls to second base, and a nice comeback for Joe Horner, getting out of that frame. And the Brewers, oh boy, they've really gummed up their chance to get some separation today in this game. They've sent 5 more batters to the plate, but just have a 1-run lead in the 8th. Jim Colburn's breaking inning. Can we support our hurler with some defense at least? This sort of just does not work out in Kansas City's favor as, John Jeter can come in. He's a really good defensive player for Kelly. And Theobald can take over at second base. He'll actually come in for Yount, and we'll send Popovich over to short, who's a little bit better than Yount, at least in his rookie year. 8th inning, 5-4 game for Jim Colburn. You have lefty Kevin Cobell and righty Don McMahon warming. Brewers would love to get a victory for their home fans here. 6 outs to get. Can they do it? Kansas City has been pulling rabbits out of the hat all year. Thoroughly expect them to come back in this to at least tie, possibly win this in regulation. Here's the pitch to Ed Kirkpatrick, leading off the top of the 8th. 4-10, flies to left. Fran Healy having a nice day, 2 for 3. 2 runs scored and an RBI. 1-6 for Fran, single 1 to 17. Oh, he'll get it. Yeah, he's been on 3 times. That's your tie run, and now you got Jim Washer Dwyer. I mean, it's easy to go, oh boy. Yeah, let's take a look at Jim Washer Dwyer. So here he is. He was an extra player card in 1974 for the Cardinals, an outstanding pinch hitter, hitting .279 with 11 walks. Pretty decent defense. Obviously, he can't hit lefties worth a squat. If you do bring in a lefty, I'd like to think you'd leave him in all the way to face Brett, particularly if he's good against lefties. And you have an opportunity to get Colburn out of here so he can't lose. So, believe it or not, Jim Dwyer is going to chase Jim Colburn, which is somewhat astonishing, but that's the way we go here. 7 1/3 for Colburn. He actually put a lot of guys on today. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. It'll be Kevin Cobell trotting out of the Brewer bullpen. Kevin, 74. 6 14, 399 ERA in 169 innings. He's really good against lefties, mostly to make his way all the way through Brett, then turn it over to McMahon, for better or for worse. In the 8th, so Dwyer will be lifted for a pinch hitter. And again, against lefties, there's not much on the bench for Kansas City. They got right-handed batters, but they're not spectacular. It'll be Al Cowens. Al Cowens will come in. He's still. Let's take a look at Cowens' card. He's still young in his career as well. You know, both these teams, they're late 70s stars like, you know, Brett and Yount and Cowens and so forth. They're still young here and haven't quite developed. Cowens' defense arises before his offense. He hit .242 and 74 with a home run. Al Cowens will bat with a runner at first and 1 out. And here's the pitch. 1-5 is a 5-4-3 double play. If you're 1-5 for Jim Dwyer against a righty like Jim Colburn's a 2-run homer. So that seemed to work out for the Brewers. Cowens will just take over in right field where Dwyer was. 5-4 Brewer lead, bottom of the 8th. We'll let Horner continue after the success in the 7th, not to mention that John Jeter's pretty lousy leading off here in the 8th. John Jeter. 2-7 is a K. And you have lefty Steve Hovley. 57 for Hovley is a base hit. And now you got George Scott, and then eventually you'll have Ollie Brown and such. Oh boy. You got a righty, then you got 2 more lefties. So I think Horner's just going to stay in there. Here's the pitch to George Scott. 48 is a K. That worked out for Kansas City. And with 2 outs, it's Johnny Briggs. 1-5 is a walk. And now you've got Darrell Porter, or do you? Lefty favors Horner. On the Milwaukee bench, you have Charlie Moore and you have Theobald. With 2 on and 2 outs. And Charlie Moore is pretty symmetrical. We'll let Charlie Moore bat for Porter. But we'll take Horner out after inning in a third for Kansas City. And go to righty-righty. We'll go to Horatio Pena. First, let's take a look at Charlie Moore. Charlie Moore, he and Yount would stay on this roster into the heyday of the late 70s, early 80s for the Brewers. Charlie Moore hits .245 and 74, no home runs. Fairly symmetrical. So as a pinch hitter, it's pretty good. Even if you make a pitching change, he'll have some success. And Horatio Pena, a really good producer for Kansas City. He actually was with Oakland in 73. He would have gotten a World Series ring for the big bad Oakland A's. Yes, another player we always talk about whenever you see an Oakland A World Series player not on Oakland, it's good for baseball, and that's the case in Kansas City. Pena dominates righties, very weak against lefties. Second best reliever on Kansas City's team behind Doug Bird. So Pena in the 8th, first and second, 2 outs. And the pitch to the pinch hitter, Charlie Moore. 34 flies to center field. We'll go to the 9th. It'll be the top of the lineup. As Cowens hit a double play to end the inning. It'll be Patek at the bottom of the lineup, and then it'll be Rojas and Brett. So Fred Patek will lead off in the top of the 9th. Down a run. Here's the pitch to Freddie. 55 off Cobell is a slow roller to second base. Now it's back up top to Cookie Rojas. 35 to Cookie Rojas. We saw the card earlier. Double 1 and 9 is a 2-base hit, and this is the battle we've been wanting. This is George Brett against Cobell, final batter for Kevin. And George is 2 for 4 with a double and triple. The tie run is at second base. Do we have George Brett heroics this early with a 75 card? Let's take a look at it. This is Brett's 75 card. He's a .308 hitter, 11 homers, 13 triples, 35 doubles, and almost 700 plate appearances. The only time he'll be a 1 at third base. And the really scary news for the rest of the American League is they can upgrade him next year to his 76 card where he wins the batting title, run that for 4 years, then just slide right into that old 1980 390 card and win 4 more batting titles with a 390 average. Yep. 8 straight batting titles for George Brett. Hey! But that's the fun of the Hall of Fame caliber players in the carryover league, folks. That's what we like about it. They shine like a diamond. So, big moment for George and the Royals. They'd love to win this series 4-1. They got the tie run at second and 1 out. Here's the pitch to George Brett. 66 off Cobell's a liner to first. And with 2 outs, it's Amos Otis. Must take a look at him. Yep, this is instant pitching change if you're left-handed. Amos Otis, 73, 26 homers. That might be a career high. 300 average. Big disparity between lefties and righties, though. No longer a double-A stealer either. So this is a no-brainer. This is where we pull Cobell after a very successful inning and a third. And bring in closer Don McMahon. Don is about 100 years old. No, he was a long-time reliever for the Giants, some other teams in the 60s, maybe even the 50s. In 73, though, he comes back with just 30 innings, but they're very effective as he wins 4-0 with a 150 ERA for San Francisco in 1973. He's asked to get the final out today for the Milwaukee Brewers, and it'll be Amos Otis versus Don McMahon. And here is the pitch to Amos Otis. 56 is a strikeout. Don McMahon strikes out Otis to end the game. Let's turn the rally music down now, as the Brewers did get the win. The Brewers did get the win. This was a tight one, folks. Rather crisply played 5-4 affair. The Brewers don't win a lot of these tight games. They did today. The Royals don't lose a lot of these games. They did today. Horatio Pena got the final out in the 8th. So your winning pitcher is Colburn, never surrendered the lead. Marty Patton, another very ordinary, subordinary start, gets the loss, gives Don McMahon a save. Looking at Kansas City's rotation, we know Roger Nelson is outstanding. Doug Bird's been a great closer. Everything else is kind of for a first-place Kansas City team. But Milwaukee wins Game 5 by a score of 5-4. Royals will take a 3-2 series lead, home field advantage, back to Kansas City for a Game 6 and Game 7 if necessary. Game 6, it will be Mike Torres for the Brewers, and it will be Larry Gura for the Royals. So stay tuned for that, and a Game 7 if necessary. We'll have the results as this series concludes. Well, folks, here's the box score of the Game 5 you just saw. The Brewers at home winning 5-4. Colburn, 7 1/3, 9 hits, 4 runs. Cobell was effective. McMahon got the final out. Marty Patton struggled, 6 1/3, 14 hits and 5 runs. Horner did a decent job shielding his weaknesses, I guess. Brewers still trailing 3-2. But let's see what happens when we go back to Kansas City for Game 6. Game number 6. The Brewers embarrassed the Royals 9-1. And actually, for the first time in quite some time, the Royals looked vulnerable. They played a terrible game at the worst possible time. Their offense went into a shell, and word got out on the street that you can get to this pitching staff. It is vulnerable. Top of the first inning, Theobald singles. After 2 outs, you get a Scott single. You get a Johnny Briggs walk, a 2-run single by Ollie Brown. Then in the second inning, homers by Paul Popovich. Yes, folks, he did it again. He's got 3 homers with that card. It only had 1. A 2-run homer by George Scott. 2-run homer by Ollie Brown. Gura gets taken out after 4. At this point, Kansas City's rationing their bullpen because they're considering either if they come back today or if they need them for Game 7. Gogalusi goes 2 innings, Pena 1, and then with the Royals' offense lifeless and punchless today, they just let Joe Horner finish the thing. 9-1, and we finally see a weak Kansas City team. The Emperor has no clothes. They've got to figure out what has gone wrong suddenly after cruising to the All-Star break. Then in the last weekend before it, they have stumbled here. Gura, 4 innings, 9 hits, 7 runs allowed. But the bigger story, I guess you could say, is Mike Torres, because he was the one who shut down the Royal offense. You know, a team that had 17 and 16 hits in a couple games. 6 hits, a run, 5 walks, 2 Ks. Torres wasn't even on Milwaukee. He was a free agent and a nice signing for them. So it forces a Game 7. Could the Brewers shock the world and create havoc in the American League Midwest? Well, they gave it their best. Jim Slayton, Paul Splittorff. And once again, the Royal offense struggles. But finally, somebody other than Roger Nelson pitches a gem. It's not Marty Patton. It ain't Larry Gura. It's the guy in between, Paul Splittorff today. Gives up a leadoff double to Pat Kelly and strands him. Then he doesn't give up another hit until the 7th inning. Kansas City's only damage is in the 6th. A hit, a ground out, a walk. Rojas singles. The guy gets thrown out at the plate. That helps Milwaukee, but Brett still comes through with a 2-out single for the 1 run. Not a lot you can do there. Off Jim Slayton, who pitched to Jim. Kevin Cabell came on in the 8th, pitched effectively. This is a 1-0 CGSO for Paul Splittorff and the Royals. Splittorff, 9 innings, 2 hits, 2 walks, 3 Ks, complete game. Poor Jim Slayton didn't get a win in this series because his team let him down defensively before. His offense let him down today. Slayton, 7 innings, 4 hits, a run, 2 walks, 5 strikeouts. Royals take the series 4-3, but the bigger thing is, let's look at stats. Then we'll look at the Kansas City, even with the offensive struggles in those last 2 games. George Brett's 49 for 133. He's hitting 368. Jim Dwyer, we talked about him, great free agent. He's hitting 342. Fran Healy hitting 333. What's John Mayberry hitting? 38 for 124. He's hitting 306. What about Lou Piniella? Piniella is 51 for 132. My goodness. Hitting 386. You get the idea, folks. Even with that funk, the Royals are hitting 296, 362 team ERA. They have 339 hits in 31 games. They're averaging 10.9 hits per game in 19 and 12. And your Brewers, yeah, they salvaged some respect in that one, showing some grit with an overmatched roster. 12 and 15 on the year, hitting 259 with a 373 ERA. You know, Yount's decent. Nothing's, he's, what is he? He's hitting 245. Not a lot expected with his rookie card. He's only 18 years old, folks. It's going to take a while till he's at equal power with Brett. Brett's like 24, 25. There's a big age gap here. Or maybe 23. I don't know. But it's pretty close. The leading hitter for the Brewers is Ollie Brown's 32 for 99. Mike Torres is really making a nice case for himself. He's only given up 8 runs in 41 innings. That's a sub-2 ERA. 175 ERA, but he's just 3-2. It's not probably going to be enough juice to get him into an all-star game as a number 4 starter with a 3-2 1-loss record, even though he's pitched very well. Big picture now, let's take a look at the standings. So the Royals came down to earth a little bit by just picking up a half game in the overall standings. They opened the series with a 2-game lead. It's a 2.5-game lead, which means the White Sox cannot claim first before the All-Star break. If they sweep the Twins, they'd still be a half game back if they sweep the Twins. What the White Sox need to do is to stay in second place so that they would battle Kansas City when the postseason tournament begins as they attempt to win the American League Midwest. So that's the mission. The Twins, 2 games back, would have to beat the White Sox 4-2 or better to get into second place. That's something the White Sox cannot afford to happen. If the Twins win 4-2, the White Sox would be sitting at 500. They could kiss that division goodbye, and then it's probably, my goodness, figuring out how to get in as a wild card. So that's what the Midwest is looking like. And again, the Midwest is still the best division in the American League by 1-loss record. All teams still in contention. Even the Brewers at 12 and 15 aren't mathematically eliminated. Winning Game 7 would have certainly helped their chances. You see, they would have been 13 and 14 and still much better situation there, but they did not win Game 7. So give Kansas City some credit for figuring out how to dispatch the Brewers in 7 games. They win the series 4-3. Thanks for checking this out. We'll see you next time.